Greetings, fellow conquerors, this is darkfireslide, and welcome back to the Pirates of Pomerania here in EU4. This is my first time recording with my completely new setup. I moved into an apartment last week on Monday, and the internet here is fantastic. However, between school and work and all the other things, I haven't had time to record an episode, so I'm very excited tonight because, well, we're recording, and it's phenomenal. I'm hoping to be able to get way more episodes out than ever before. Which is actually, I want to take a second here and just say that a big reason I haven't uploaded much, like, recently is because the internet at the place I was living was getting worse. It was like it had cancer or something, and like it would just, like, it would start uploading in the night and then it would just give up, and then like sometimes it would forget that it was uploading, and I actually couldn't get a video out, and it was just very, very frustrating, and actually, I eventually would just like give up on recording, but now I don't really have an excuse at all, really, and that's great because I want to get more episodes out, so how fortunate. But anyway, so what are we going to do in this episode? We're going to take some land, probably, but what we're going to try to do specifically is focus on Brandenburg here. Now, for those of you who are just joining in with this series, or for those of you who maybe forgot, we're playing on a really old patch. We're playing on version 1.12.2, which I believe is like 2 patches after the Common Sense DLC came out. So very, very old at this point indeed, like years old at this point, I believe. Sweden, we've eclipsed them. This isn't exactly surprising news, considering that we just, you know, in the last 2 episodes we've spent time just carving them to itty-bitty pieces. Now, we still only have 2 diplomats because we're still a duchy, and that's something we're hoping to change, although we only have 200 development at the moment, so still a while to go until we get away from there. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to rival the Livonian Order, and the reason for this is because of what my grand plan is. So what we're going to try to do here is we're going to fabricate a claim on Brandenburg, and Brandon Boy, over here, is allied with the Livonian Order, the Bavarians, and Hesse, none of whom particularly pose a threat. Bavaria is very tiny. Hesse is very tiny. Our army is not very tiny. It is 18,000 strong. Now, that being said, we do unfortunately have aristocratic ideas instead of something that would be much more dominant at this point in the game, like defensive ideas, for example. So first of all, we're going to stop improving relations with the Teutonic Order here. Just so we can send our diplomat to Sweden and get our trade income back. Presumably this is going to increase our trade income. Let's watch. Let's watch. Let's waste a month of our lives. Oh, 0.1 ducats. I love it. That's great. So we're going to keep improving relations. Our force limit is actually 23, but we're not really in a position where we're going to be making that back because, as it happens, we have a bad situation on our hands. Oh, Finnish separatists. There they are. So, we have a bad situation on our hands, and that bad situation is that, to get the decision to... I believe I said this in the last episode. It's been a while since I've recorded. I think it's been like a month, because I just gave up on this series. And, I'll also address the graphics in a second here, but, the Empire has, reformed the Hofgericht, which means we, the Emperor gets a bunch of stuff, and we don't. Nice. Good job, Emperor. I guess he just gave himself a really fancy hat, and he's like, I'm the best. But anyway, our grand plan is to take more land from Brandenburg, but there's a... And, the problem is we want to become a noble republic, like, really badly. The problem is, I believe we own 4 more provinces than we're allowed to have to actually do that. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to hold off on getting tech for a while, in both military and diplo. We're going to focus on just our military and diplo, and we're going to get the ideas as quickly as possible, so that we can become a republic, which is, you know, it's going to set us back, but that's okay, because we're kind of in the mood to roleplay a little bit here. That's the whole point. We're here to have fun, you know. You can do world conquest, and it's very, and you know what, world conquests are fun, because the entire time you're just at war. It's great. It's fantastic, especially once you get imperialism 300 years into the game. That's the good stuff right there. As you can see, this screen right here in this version of the game is not as great. It's one of the things you kind of take for granted here. then that your rebels are exactly identical to your army. But then again, that's nothing new even in the current version of the game. So anyway, one thing we're going to be looking to be doing in this kind of lull is just kind of develop our provinces a little bit. We're going to use the development mechanic, which is, you know, part of common sense. We're going to use that to get more stuff, because the problem is we can't actually take any land for ourselves right now. Any land we take at the moment, we have to give to a subject, and our only subject is the Teutonic Order. So ideally, if we were to go to war, we would want to go to war with like the Livonian Order, or just go to war with Poland itself. The only problem is Bohemia doesn't want to go to war with Poland, because Bohemia is defensive towards us for some reason now. They were friendly before. I guess all the emperorship has kind of gone to their head. Alright, so we can get 50 military power for some inflation. I am all about that. Our inflation is only 3%. It's not bad. And yeah, right on track here. We need 4 more aristocratic ideas, so 1,600 military points, and we need about 2,000 more diplomatic points. Now that's going to be a while. It's going to be a little bit, you know, but we're patient. We're going to wait. We haven't focused anything, and we can't change our focus until 1531, so we've got a little bit of a wait here. But fortunately for us, the fact that our leader only has a 2 admin isn't going to be as bad, because we have to wait to kind of get these things here. Now, we are of course going to be looking for ways to, oh, it looks like Saxony defeated Lüneburg. He decided not to do anything after defeating Lüneburg. Good job, Saxony. What a great war. Totally worth it, right? Right? All that manpower lost? Totally worth it, right? So the interesting thing is, we could attack Lüneburg. Oh, looks like Hungary's another war. Who are you fighting, Hungary? Fighting against Milan, Provence, Siena, Tuscany, and Mantua. So just like a crazy Italian coalition here. Hungary's got some powerful allies though. France and Austria. I like it. Good job, Hungary. Mastering that diplomacy for sure. France is not... He's not of the opinion that an alliance is impossible. He only has 2 allies. I think we're going to improve relations with France for the time being. Now, unfortunately, in this version of the game, I do believe that getting alliances with religious enemies is a pretty difficult thing to do. Because otherwise, we would love to get an alliance with the Ottomans to attack the Polish. Now, unfortunately, we can't really get Bohemia to attack Poland. They like Poland too much, and Poland also won't attack Lüneburg because they're in the Empire. And Bohemia also won't attack the Livonian Order. I guess they're friendly towards them as well. So really, we're kind of at a little bit of political deadlock at the moment, which is unfortunate to say the least. And even if we were to attack Lüneburg, our only ally in this conflict would be Muscovy, who has some debt. I think that's only 1 loan for him though, 312 ducats. But I don't think Muscovy's 32,000 are going to be enough to defeat the Polish horde. Like if we just dive into the ledger here real quick. Poland's got, doing this more for my sake, because Poland's got 18,000 troops. But Lithuania, and this is where things get a little scary. Lithuania's got like 22,000, so that's 40,000 between the 2 of them. I mean, if we tag teamed with Muscovy, we could like defeat their forces, I think. But Lithuania is also at Tech 9, which means they're about equal to us. They don't have any military ideas, which is really good for us because that would, you know, really suck. Unfortunately, our military ideas don't really do anything. So Poland and Lithuania might just kind of stagnate there. Now the Protestant Reformation has happened, and we now have a choice that we can make. We can become Protestant if we so desire, and we may actually desire to do this. The main reason being, I don't think the aspects of faith are in this version of the game, but the 10% tax modifier is pretty darn nice, and we also get a Center of Reformation if we adopt it this early. We do lose 100 prestige, which sucks, but I think that the rest of this is worth it, so we're going to go ahead and go Protestant, I think. We also get 234 ducats, which is pretty nice. And, oh no, we do have aspects of faith in this version of the game. It's very cool. Well, we're going to start by, you know, doing some of our best provinces here. Let's see, can we sort by development in this version of the game? It's the region map mode. It's not really what I'm looking for. It's probably in here somewhere. Like, these buttons look totally different. Like, I'm totally lost here. Oh, right, it's the economical map mode in this version. And oh, this is great. So it still sorts by base tax in this version of the game. And that's hilarious. We're gonna convert Danzig first. I think Danzig is our best city at the moment. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna get out of that ugly map mode. Go back to our normal one. Things we'll be looking for. I don't think we really need a regimental camp. We also have a looming disaster now. We have religious turmoil that's going to tick up every month here. But that being said, we have a center of reformation in Netzi here, which is hopefully going to start converting our provinces. Yeah. And I think we'll be able to avoid the disaster because we only have 24 provinces. So that center of reformation is going to act pretty quickly. Alright, we've lost our claim on Plock against the Poles, which is unfortunate. But we can just fabricate another claim. I mean, why not, right? Now, I don't know about you guys, but oh, it's a good thing that we've converted because of the center of reformation. Wouldn't it be funny if Bohemia lost the emperorship because all of his provinces got converted to Protestant? That would be kind of hilarious, I would think. Whew, that religious turmoil is ticking up pretty quickly, though. We're getting 2 progress a month. Yeesh. Well, I think we can get our religious unity back up in time, though. We converted the heretics of Danzig. And we got another province converted. We'll probably want to do Stettin, since that is our capital city. And we're already up to 18% unity. I don't think this disaster is going to fire. Just between you and me. Now we have a problem here, in that Muscovy exists, and we actually, because we took all this land from Sweden, would like to be able to expand that way, but the problem is we don't have a way to defeat Muscovy at the moment. They've actually got some pretty strong allies. Let's see. Muscovy is requesting that you come to their aid in the Muscovite purge of Livonian heresy against the Livonian Order. The Livonian Order is allied with Poland, Riga, Brandenburg, and France is the defender of the Catholic faith and will protect the Livonian Order. And they have decided to defend. So let's take a look at this map here. This happens a lot when there's a defender of the faith. This even happens in modern EU4, where a war like this will break out, and there's just tons and tons and tons of battles everywhere. The thing I'm most afraid of, though, is that our land is like really exposed right now, because all of our troops are up here in Finland. And I mean, so Poland has those 40,000 troops you were talking about. Livonian Order military is not really relevant. Rigan military, not really relevant. Brandenburg has 8,000 troops, not really relevant. So all we really need to do is add France's troops to the mix. They have 53,000 troops, with probably Elan at this point in the game. Yeah, so France has 53,000 troops with 20% extra morale. And the only thing Denmark's bringing to the table is like 17,000 troops. This is not a pretty war, is what this is. This is pretty ugly. And so, even if Muscovy builds up to their force limit, they're at 42,000 troops, which is less than what France has. If we join this war, France is going to crap all over us. And our prestige is already garbage. So the thing is, if we take that war, we're just completely, like, screwed. I mean, it'll mitigate, you know, Muscovy's losses, but honestly, Muscovy losing things isn't necessarily a bad thing for us, and neither is Denmark losing things. So we're going to go ahead and decline. And we're going to look for a new ally, to be honest. It may actually be France, which would be kind of hilarious. But we'll see what happens. I mean, we're pirates. He shouldn't have trusted us in the first place. It's just silly. This is your own fault. I would give military access to Muscovy, though. Oh, we're quarantining Königsberg, I think. We're actually starting to lose some money here. That's unfortunate. Trying to see if we have any good provinces for either production or taxes. Doesn't look like it. We've got a lot of rebels threatening to rise up now due to our bad religious unity. But the conversion train is just going to keep on going, and I believe we're at 34% unity now. It's pretty good. Our disaster is only at 19%. So yeah, I'd say we're making pretty good time on that. As we can see, some French troops marching through now. Very, very terrifying. Look at this little Danish stag making a run for it. So the really scary thing is the fact that France is the defender of the Catholic faith. That's gonna make like any expansion just almost impossible unless we actually ally France. So we're really gonna shoot for that, I think. But now that we're a heretic religion, this may be pretty difficult to actually pull off. If diplomatic reputation guy is the difference between getting that French alliance and not having it, then we're gonna pick up the diplomatic reputation, I think. Now I actually haven't been paying attention to my points here, but we can actually pick up the next two ideas here, and we get noble officers, which is going to reduce our army tradition and navy tradition, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good idea, because it means that your tradition is going to stay at a higher point, especially if you pick up either defensive or quality to get that bonus to the actual like growth of it. You can actually get some pretty high. It's one of the only ways to get like really really high just resting point for your military tradition. So pretty good, I would say. And then we can also get the integrated elites, which reduces diplomatic annexation costs. Pretty good idea normally. We're gonna go ahead and pick that up as well. Now we've also gotten our second national idea, which is the Pomeranian merchants. The Pomeranians have a long tradition of sailing across the Baltic Sea in search of safe havens for their ships and merchandise, because we're pirates. Many foreigners have heard of us. From Novgorod to Constantinople, and we get +1. We get an additional merchant. Do we have trade power anywhere else? Do we have trade power anywhere relevant? We could collect in Novgorod. I believe we have, yeah, I believe we have a merchant already collecting there. Let's go ahead and collect from Novgorod. It's not going to be a ton of money, but it is going to be some cash, and that's good enough for me. Sweden still has a province over here, which is pretty hilarious. Yeah, I'm thinking that the French alliance is going to be necessary, not necessarily for like him, like attacking, but for rather for him just not like defending. Okay, so we are just shy of being able to get a royal marriage, which would lead us into an alliance. So we're going to go ahead and pick up the diplomatic reputation guy, and this will allow us to pick up a royal marriage with the French, which will in turn allow us to get an alliance. Relations are now super good with the French. They should stop being neutral after this month. I think this is an influence event. We get impertinent demands, which is going to make the diplomatic annexation cost for vassals go up by 10% for 10 years. Not really relevant for us. We don't plan on annexing the Teutons anytime soon. Ooh. Lithuania tells us of Protestantism entrenched. With Protestantism taking over in more and more Catholic countries, there are fewer people who observe Lent without the 40 days when any proper Catholic cannot eat meat and is forced to eat fish. The demand for fish is plummeting. So I think that tells you later that, yes, I believe later that tells you that, like in later patches, that the price of fish goes down, which sucks. So we can take a stability hit here to get rid of this royal marriage, which would give us more diplo points. We really need those diplo points to get more ideas, so we are going to go ahead and do that. But first we're going to bump our stability, because it's about to go down. Let's see. Both of our kings are 44, so they're probably not going to die for another 13 years. I mean, when you think about it, like 13 years of -1 Diplo power is pretty. That's a lot of points. Funnily enough, Muscovy is still friendly towards us, but they're not going to ally us for a long time. We're actually going to break our royal ties too. So, if Muscovy ever likes us again, it's going to be a long way from here. And Muscovy has canceled military access, and that's good, because now we're at 4-4 of our diplomatic relations. We get our diplomatic power back. And we're actually going to rehire. We're actually going to hire this level 2. What are you? You're diplomat. Yeah, we're going to hire this level 2 diplomat because the better relations over time affects things like aggressive expansion, which is very important. We're going to kill army maintenance as well. Oh, and fort maintenance. Why are we maintaining these forts? It's a bad idea. The fear of crypto-Catholics. Ever present in our state is the fear that some who profess to believe, or is the fear that some who professes, I think it's some who profess to believe in all aspects of our state church are still secretly Catholic sympathizers. One noble family in particular, though firmly entrenched in the machinery of the state, is said to have papist leanings. As the years drag on, these rumors will refuse to die, and would now seem almost impossible for us to ignore. So we can gain 10 church power, lose 20 admin, gain 20 church power, gain better tolerance of the true faith, lower tolerance of heretics, and better church power for 5 years. We can lose 20 church power, gain 50 admin, and lose national unrest. Normally I would go for this option because more admin power is always a good thing. But the only thing we could really do with more admin power at this point is use it to pick up the next tech level and use that to buy another idea group. You know, presumably a admin idea group. But I think this is the better one for us. We have no church power at the moment, so this would allow us to get some nice bonuses. So we're going to go with that since it is the least punishing, I would say. Now, unsurprisingly, the Muscovites are getting the tar kicked out of them. Now, interestingly, even though we've allied France, they are still defending Catholic nations. So this may deadlock us for a while here, which is fortunate because we're trying to avoid wars at the moment anyway. Okay, so we can suppress a minority, which means that one province is going to get a lot of unrest, or we can get 25% autonomy in a 3 development province. Yeah, go ahead and put that autonomy on there. I don't care. That's nothing. Now, I must admit, it is nice not having to worry about states in this version of the game. States were an interesting idea that I don't... Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. Specifically, I like them when I have an overseas empire. Don't really care for them as much in land empires. Alright, so now we're at 44%. Going along quite nicely here. And, we're only getting 1 progress per month, so I mean... It's going to be another 60 months. We have 5 years before this is, you know, and we've only got like 10 provinces to convert. So, I mean, yeah, it's not that bad. I don't think we're going to get the disaster. If we do, well, I was wrong. Look at these stacks. Good lord. I bet at this point they're all mercs from the Russian winters. Taking that nasty 5% attrition in those provinces. I've heard in earlier versions of EU there wasn't an attrition cap, so you can just imagine that like there's like probably like, you know, 50% plus attrition for these groups in later patches. But wow, look at that. 4.3 morale versus like a, sorry, 4.1 morale versus 3.3 Muscovite morale. That's just terrible. It's just terrible. Yeah, we would have gotten squashed if we joined that war. But thankfully we're allied with the Emperor and Hungary still, so... Well, and France as well, I should say. You know, it's traitorous, but it's what pirates do. It's what we do. Now, one thing I am very excited for in the influence tree is actually picking up this +2 diplomatic reputation. This is going to allow us to get a lot more things done with our allies, because as we're seeing here, Allies are very stubborn in this version of the game. Now, thankfully, Poland hasn't allied France, which would be terrible if that happened. It looks like France has already lost the Defender of the Faith title, which is good. Now, we could probably take Brandenburg here. And what I would like to do with them, actually, is vassalize them. I would love to get another vassal. Problem is, we don't have another diplomatic relations slot yet. We're not going to get one for 1,200 more diplo points. So that's going to be an interesting choice for us here, what we do regarding that. But we are getting closer to finishing aristocratic ideas, which is good. Our long-term plan here is going to be to release Finland, which I believe is going to be these 4 provinces. Yeah, it'll be these 4 provinces. And that will allow us to have the 20... So the way the Republic mechanic works in this is that you have to have... you can only have a maximum of 20 provinces to become a republic, and we have 24. So getting rid of those 4 provinces, releasing Finland as a vassal, means that we're going to be able to do what we want to do here. Now, problem is, that also means that we can't really do what we want to do with Brandenburg yet either. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you think that this is still worth pursuing, because we're gonna be on hold for a while here. We need another 1,200 diplomatic power. If you think about it, like yearly, we're making something like 96. So it's gonna be another 12 years of just kind of sitting around, waiting for diplomatic power to kind of go up. Maybe even a little longer than that, because we're only getting 96 a year when we need, 1,200. So, if you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the support for all of you who have stuck around for all this time. And I'll see you on the next one.